I'm the director of Moot Court programs here at the SIU School of Law, and I'm here today with a couple of folks who are going to talk to you about the Moot Court program and then some general things about the law school as well. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Valerie Osment. I'm a 3L here at SIU School of Law. I'm from Harrisburg, Illinois, and I did my undergrad education at Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, and I majored in political science, and then right after undergrad, I immediately came to law school.
My name is Brandon Schultz. I'm a 2L here at the SIU Law School. I'll be the Chief Justice for the Moot Court next year, and I did my undergrad here at SIU Carbondale as well. After that, I moved to DC for 6 years and came back for law school after that.
So our goal today is to just share some information with you about the Moot Court program and talk a little bit about what we do and our accomplishments within the program and some of the support that we get for the program and so forth. So I'm going to start off just by asking you guys, can you just generally tell people who might be tuning in, what's Moot Court?
Yeah, Moot Court is the competitive athletics of the law school. You know, we're one of some of the few students that get to go out and represent SIU in a competitive atmosphere against other schools. And Moot Court is the appellate level version of competition. So we begin by writing a brief after we receive some hypothetical facts about the law and analyzing those facts and the law surrounding them. And then we go to a competition around the country and we argue in front of real judges and real attorneys where they ask us very pointed and tough questions, and we respond very quickly and accurately. It's very similar to the arguments that you would hear in front of the Supreme Court or the state Supreme Court or any of the circuit courts around the country.
Yeah, Moot Court is, as Professor Anderson will agree, she's always said, Moot Court is the football team of law school, and I couldn't agree with that more. It's very competitive and it's challenging, and I think it's a very unique experience that all students should strive to try to do if they're able. Moot Court is, I think it's not really moot, they call it Moot Court, but the issues that we write on and argue about are current issues. They might not be pending in front of the Supreme Court right now, but they might be in the future, or very hot topic issues, and it's very fun. You get to write an appellate brief, and then you go to argue in a competition, and your brief score counts as part of your score, and then they merge together, and that depends on whether or not you advance. So just like the NCAA basketball tournament that we all just watched, it's similar to that, where it's you go until there's a final winner, and it's just a very unique opportunity.
What did you know about Moot Court before you came to law school?
So in undergrad, I was a part of another organization, an undergrad organization called Model Illinois Government, and in that organization there was a Moot Court program, but I never did it. I never had a coach. I wasn't sure what it was. I watched a few rounds and thought it looked really fun and interesting, and I was very impressed with the amount of information that these advocates were just pulling out with no notes and everything. And so when I came to law school and our 1L year, some of the Moot Court board members put on a demonstration for us every year, and that's when I really was like, wow, okay, that's what Moot Court is. And that's what really inspired me to want to try to be a part of the team.
Yeah, I didn't really know much about Moot Court. In undergrad, I held some leadership positions where I did some public speaking, and after I moved out to DC, my job required me to travel around the country and do presentations, and I also got to sit in on a couple of Supreme Court oral arguments where I really was fascinated by, as Valerie said, their ability to just pull information, respond to the questions succinctly and specifically. And when I came to law school and found out that I could have the opportunity to do what I saw in front of the Supreme Court and do those oral arguments and be able to learn the law just like those advocates did, you know, I really jumped at the opportunity. And after my 1L experience where I got to write an appellate brief and do an oral argument, I knew that I had to go onto the Moot Court board after that.
Yeah, just to put a little more context on it, one of the things that we do within the program is that we host the National Health Law Moot Court competition here at the law school, where we have about 30 teams of students who come from about 25 different schools every fall to make their arguments and go through the tournament to finally crown somebody as the champion of the competition. But the types of issues then that we might have for something like the National Health Law competition, the last few years, this year we had, for example, a question about whether or not a juvenile who had been found to have had some issues with sexual offenses when he was younger could be coerced through a therapeutic program to confess to other acts that he had taken earlier. And so we were arguing about whether he needed to have what we call a Miranda warning that tell him that things that he says can be used against him, and whether that would apply in the context that we were talking about. The year before that, we had a question about whether children could be told about vaccinations and that they're good and safe in schools when parents objected to that. So those are the kinds of issues that the students have to debate both sides. They have to represent both the people bringing the suit and the people who are defending against the suit in these cases. And so we're really proud of our history of running that particular competition and having so many people come here to do these arguments. And so then our teams will go to other schools or other places and participate in other national competitions as well. So we can talk a little bit more about that as well. How many competitions do we do?
So this past school year, we competed in and or hosted 8 national moot court competitions, well, with the exception of the intramural. And what is unique about the intramural moot court competition is it's just within the 2L class of those who sign up for a course called Advanced Appellate Advocacy, aka AAA. And it's the same problem that we use for the National Health Law Moot Court competition. And so it's really cool to watch the 2Ls do that problem and do oral arguments, and then a month later have all of these schools come and compete and do the exact same problem. And then you hear new arguments that you may not have thought of. And so that's a really unique perspective. And then the other competitions that we do, so my 2L year, in the spring last year, I did the ABA National Moot Court competition. We got to go to the Las Vegas Regional, and in that competition, we had a 3-person team. One of our team members ended up leaving SIU, but she did help us write a brief, and we actually won a brief award. We won second best brief out of, I think it was 32 teams, and my other partner and I ended up going to the octofinals in that competition. And then this last fall, me and 2 other students competed in the National Moot Court competition in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I think Professor Anderson would agree that regional is one of the hardest regionals to compete in that competition because of the schools that go to it. We competed against all of the Chicago schools who are always really good. And in that competition, my team actually did the best that SIU has ever done in that competition. We made it to the semifinal round, the Final Four, and it was so much fun. I was so excited. We went up in that final round and we just barely lost. The judges in that round told us how well we all did, and the other team just squeaked by maybe a point or two, but it was such a fun competition to do. And then this last spring, I also did the ABA competition again, and we went to St. Louis and got to argue in the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals. And that was really fun. The courthouse there is gorgeous, and it was just such a fun opportunity. My partner and I made it to the octofinals again in that competition, and I just think the ABA is very well ran, and I had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, not only did Valerie and her partner advance in their competition, but we actually had a team advance in every competition that we participated in this past semester. So not only is SIU able to field competitive teams, but we're able to put competitive teams at all of our competitions. And that's really great to see SIU not just compete against some of the best schools in the country, but do better than a lot of the best schools in the country at many of these competitions.
So that actually lends itself to the question, which is, well, what makes for a good moot court advocate? I mean, what would you say to somebody who's thinking about going to law school? These are the characteristics that would be useful or would be helpful to have to join one of these competitive teams.
Yeah, obviously, the thing that I think a lot of people are going to be fearful of in moot court is the public speaking and getting the questions asked to you. And that's, I think, one of the things that to overcome that is just to be open to changing and developing yourself and your skills and listening to Professor Anderson and all the other professors here at SIU that help us. Dozens of professors either guest judge in our practices or our coaches throughout the whole process every semester. And dozens more attorneys from outside of the school come in and listen to us and give us their advice on how to better present, how to better talk about the law and speak to the questions directly. And getting over that fear of being in front of someone and speaking is not something that's insurmountable. Many of the Moot Court team members have had the butterflies in their stomach before competitions, and they still get up there and they perform well, and they defeat other teams around the country.
Yeah, I think one thing that 1Ls or prospective law students in general should keep in mind with Moot Court is that it's not as bad as you think it is. It could be terrifying thinking of speaking, but like Brandon said, we have some of the best faculty members here at SIU. I brag on them all the time. They're brilliant, literally. Professor Anderson is one of them. And the coaching that we get from them really helps us develop our oral argument skills, and we practice several times a week for sometimes several weeks until we get to the point where we're comfortable with what we're doing. And so it's not like you're just being thrown in the ringer and expected to be perfect. You are given the opportunity to practice and get better, and it's worth it because we have several alumni that go on to be prosecutors or appellate lawyers or whatever they may do, and they always tell us, I'm so glad I did Moot Court because it really helped me develop those oral argument skills and learn the courtroom etiquette necessary to perform well in the courtroom. And so I think it's worth doing, especially if you're fearful. Just try it. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it, but at least try. You'll never know if you don't try.
We have a tryout process that starts with taking a class that I teach called Advanced Appellate Advocacy, or Valerie likes to refer to it as AAA. And so anybody is open to take that class. You can take it because you're trying out for Moot Court. You can just take it because you want to learn the writing skills that I teach in that class, and we also teach the oral advocacy skills. And then from the students who are taking that class, then we make a decision about who to invite to the Moot Court board, and you start doing these national competitions almost immediately. I mean, I think almost literally are turning in your final brief in that class at the same time you're getting your problem to start working on your national competition for the spring. So we have a process that we have that you'll have plenty of information about if you're interested in terms of trying out for the Moot Court competition. And I also want to follow up on something that Brandon was talking about, because I think you guys would agree that one of the greatest things we have is we have a very supportive faculty, but we also have an incredibly supportive network of former alums, a lot of people who are Moot Court board alums, but just generally our alumni, as well as people in the community who come back and help us, come in to judge our intramural competition, which is something that takes place for the second-year students as part of the Advanced Appellate Advocacy class. The National Health Law competition, many of them do come back almost, it's like a month later, and they're back and they're judging for us again. And then as we prepare for our national competitions, I mean, you guys probably would agree, you just can't get ready for the national competition if you don't have help from as many people who come in every year and give you the feedback and everything. So we're so appreciative of that commitment that we've seen and the generous giving of their time and their expertise to help us get ready for those things. So both of you guys are Chief Justices, right? Chief Justi, I guess, if we were going to go for the Latin pronunciation. Valerie is the outgoing Chief Justice who's just been through it for this year, and Brandon's the incoming Chief Justice. So, you know, one thing I think we're really proud of here at SIU is that we do have so many leadership opportunities for students. Do you want to talk for a moment or two about why did you want to become a Chief Justice? Because trying to get law students to do things can be like herding cats sometimes.
That's very true. So my 1L year, it was so strange. I was very uninvolved, and I wasn't really interested in anything until the oral argument demonstration that we watched in lawyering skills our second semester of our 1L year. And that's when I said, okay, maybe I want to do this. And as part of your 1L lawyering skills class, you get to actually participate in oral arguments after you write an appellate brief. And my partner and I did really well together, and so we decided to go ahead and sign up for AAA and compete in the intramural together. And we did very well in that competition as well. And so that's what inspired me to really want to do Moot Court. And when I made the team, I was so excited. I worked really closely with my team members from the ABA competition last year who were 3Ls, and they really inspired me to want to take a leadership role. I've held leadership roles like this in the past, and I just really like giving back to a club or whatever you would like to call Moot Court. I love giving back to something that's given so much to me, and I just really wanted to dedicate as much as I could to this program and just help future students and alumni and judges and everyone involved to just make the program even greater than it already is.
Yeah, I think, like Valerie said, one of the first opportunity that I had to really fall in love with wanting to be on Moot Court was in our 1L lawyering skills class, where we got to write the brief just like you would write in any Moot Court competition and do the oral argument aspect. And I found that not only did I think I was pretty good at it, but that I really enjoyed doing it and I wanted to do it more. And after going through AAA and making the board, I got the opportunity to go to my competition this spring and realize not just the hard work that you put into Moot Court, but the great feeling of success you have after you compete. And in undergrad, I held other positions where I got to host events and put on conferences and conventions. And as Chief Justice, you become one of the faces of our the Health Law Moot Court competition in the fall. And I'm looking forward to the opportunity to represent SIU, not just next year when I go to my competitions, but here on our home turf at Carbondale whenever the schools come to our competition.
I think both of you have touched on a theme that that makes me really proud to be part of this program, and that is you're talking about leadership, but you're talking about it in terms of the relationship that you're building with the other folks who are on the Moot Court board and with the alumni and the folks who are coming in from the outside to assist us with this. And I'm always just so happy to work with you guys, because you're it demonstrates one of those skills I think that we overlook that lawyers need, which is the skill of collaboration, of being able to work together and to create that network and that relationship. So I'm so happy that we have this opportunity, that we've got a great program and we've got great students who are in the program, we've got great alumni who are helping us with the program, and I look forward to, I hope, having many more years of folks like you guys who make us so proud here at the law school. We're at the point where we should wrap up the conversation, so if we could leave I'm sure our massive audience with just one piece of advice that you would give to somebody who's thinking about coming to law school, what would it be?
Yeah, I would say look at the school as a whole. I think that having a school that's a community where the professors are committed to the school and the students and developing those students and seeing them succeed in the future is going to make your law school experience better, and is going to make any student a better lawyer after they graduate. And I think that SIU has that, and that that's one of their strengths. And I think that any law student or prospective law student should look for that in any school that you want to apply to.
I think SIU has that home feeling that a lot of us search for whenever we're choosing a school to go to. The faculty here really does care about our success, and they encourage us to come to them with questions and just someone to talk to if we need it. And I'm so grateful that I came to SIU for that. And if I were to give any 1Ls or incoming students one piece of advice, I would tell you to, even if you don't think you're interested in Moot Court, to just take the Advanced Appellate Advocacy class. Because even if you don't want to be a part of the Moot Court board, it is such an essential class, I think, because it teaches you skills that you're not going to learn anywhere else. And it's such an important skills class, and for just real life lawyering class. And I think that everyone should take that class.
And I promise I did not offer her anything to say that.
She didn't.
Right. So anyway, well, thank you so much for sitting in with us today while we had a conversation about our program. If you have any other questions, please take a look at our website, take a look at our Facebook page. You can contact folks. There's a lot of information there. But we look forward to seeing some new faces next year at SIU.
Thank you.
Thank you.